say is, I think it seems like every day we learn more and more about just how important forests are to Vermont, the many benefits that we enjoy from forests in so many different ways. They kind of define much of Vermont's character and way of life, and they contribute an awful lot. These benefits and values of forests, you can't outsource those. This is really fundamental to Vermont, and they're not necessarily automatic. They're not guaranteed to be here. One of the best ways to ensure that we continue to enjoy forest benefits is to intelligently invest in the businesses that work the forested landscape and the people who do that work. I believe that by working with forests closely and carefully, we can sustain the forest landscape of Vermont and all that it contributes. And that's why it's been an exciting process to have a seat at the table in the development of the Working Lands Enterprise Initiative. We've built a board of dedicated, talented people with tremendous expertise who also are committed to the process and have developed a rigorous process that has integrity. It's growing, and so it's really remarkable and very gratifying to have been a part of that and to see it emerging, and particularly to be able to interact with the businesses, ag and forest enterprises that we work with, and investing in them again, and so that they can. We have this theme of scaling up. I think, as a wise person recently mentioned to me, it's more scaling smart and really thinking about where we have competitive advantages, and as the Secretary was saying about pinch points and leverage points, and really understanding so that we're careful about it and make wise investments, because if we do, then all the better for these emerging benefits and sustaining this working landscape that all contributes for us. So again, I'm thrilled to be a part of this. It's wonderful to see the growth and to hear the stories of the individuals who've benefited and then in turn provide benefits for the rest of us.
In 2013, we moved our facility from the basement of our farmhouse to the Northeast Kingdom Tasting Center in Newport. That was an abandoned department store that is now a local food emporium, and our cidery is in the basement of it. Just a little bit more, in 2010, early 2010, we had one part-time employee, and we were fortunate enough to go through the Vermont Agricultural Development Program from the Sustainable Jobs Fund, and as a result of that technical assistance advice put us in touch with the lenders who have helped us to finance our growth to this point. As of right now, we have 15 employees, and we'll add at least 2 or 3 more by the end of the year. So I represent the value-added producer role on the board. That's a role that's designated in the legislation that created the board. And I bring that manufacturing and production perspective to the work that we do on the board. I have to say, after 30 years of business experience, this is my first sort of quasi-public sector involvement, and it has been a fantastic learning journey. The members of this board come with all sorts of different perspectives: public sector, nonprofit, business, and I credit Chuck Ross for the first 6 months making sure and setting the tone that it's not about representing our fiefdoms, but putting those aside, telling the truth, asking the hard questions, being honest with each other, and working together as a team, as people who care about the state we live in, care about the quality of the life that we have here and that we want other people to enjoy with us. Our farms, our forests, they're so critical to the success of what Vermont is. We look at our job not as making government handouts, but as making investments in those critical places where the private sector can't do it. If the public sector does it, it's an investment that helps that whole sector grow and supports 2 critical industries, agriculture and forestry, the success of our state. And I know every one of us feel that way, so I wanted to share that with you.
But the most exciting part here is hearing about the stories, the individual entrepreneurs who have added so much to this thing we call the working landscape. It really is a community effort, and what makes this program so unique, as Eleanor discussed, was the technical assistance that is so helpful, because every story is so different, and the creativity creativity that comes with going through that process of technical assistance, applying for a grant, helping people think through their vision and actually make their vision happen. That is really the most exciting thing.
What we don't often know about is what goes on out in the woods because you can't see it. I was lucky enough to grow up here in Windsor County, and I've just had to figure out that I've actually been in business for 18. This is my 18th year in business. I don't know if that's frightening or something to be proud of, but it's a long time. And so my name is Parker Nichols. I'm supposed to tell you that, and my business is Vermont Wildwoods. And people have asked me, what is a forest salvage lumber business? And what does that mean? I go out and I salvage old dead butternut trees. And I'm basically a specialty lumber yard for architects. That's the way I kind of boil it down for people. And so growing up, we all have kind of funny little hobbies. And one of mine was looking at log trucks and trying to figure out where those logs were going, what they were doing. Because as a kid in Windsor County, I'd go with my dad a few miles down our dirt road to a local sawmill, and we'd drop off our old dead butternut trees and get sawdust for our horses. And just as a little boy, I was always mesmerized by the belts and saw blades and blowers and noise and machinery, and I never was really able to shake that. And after going to school at UVM, I was getting a master's degree in architecture and environmental design, and doing construction to help pay for school. And our client became my first customer. I promptly dropped out of school because I realized I wanted to move back home and get into the lumber business. And so in doing that, I realized you either have to be big or you have to be special. And I decided to go for the latter, and decide that I could take old dead butternut wood that nobody wanted to New York City and actually polish it up and tell people, no, this isn't a defect, this is actually an asset, and you want to put it in the front of Donald Trump's Taj Mahal Casino, which he did. People just said yes to me, and I couldn't believe it when the doors kept opening. I kept doing it, and I was like, I'll keep going. And so that first job was in California, and they didn't know about butternut, and I quickly realized that was fabulous. And my little tagline was, you don't sell the diamonds next to the diamond mine. So I decided I was going to go to New York City to sell wood, and that's what I did for 15 years. But unfortunately, butternut has fallen into the same disease, not the same disease, but a similar thing as elm trees or the chestnut tree, and it was dying. So I really like the lumber business. I want to stay in it, but I realized I had to come up with something new. And so through the VHCB and their farm viability program, they started the farm and they added forest to the term. And I was fortunate enough to be the first recipient of their consulting assistance. And I decided I wanted to focus on creating a viable commercial spalted wood product. And I don't have a piece right here with me, but there's a large piece of spalted wood back there. If you turn around and take a look at it, that's a piece of maple, a regular sugar maple. You can see some tap holes in it, but all those black lines, that's natural. And I made it go there. It's basically a kind of a mushroom farm, but it's for quite a while it's been a very sought after, kind of like the truffles of the wood world. Nobody's ever really been able to figure out how to produce it on a large scale. And through VHCB's assistance with a consultant that I was able to work with, we crunched the numbers and went through the program, and I realized, this is something I'm going to invest in. And so I did. I spent the money on infrastructure and buying and processing inventory and doing it. I just like, I need to do this, and I did. And I had some great successes, and that board is one of them. And I got some customers, and I just sold it all. But unfortunately, I had some equal to, if not greater, failures. And as we say at home, I spent all the money. And I was basically at a point where this was going to not happen. I didn't think that I knew what to do, and I had spent all my money on it. And at some point, you have to know when to cut your losses. That is when I applied for this grant, and I got this grant. And it is not over now. I kind of consider myself a bit of a mad scientist, so I brought in a real scientist. And with the proverbial lab coat, she and I have come up with a new formula, a new program, figured out what I was doing wrong, which was actually not as big of a problem as I thought, and it's working. So it's not done yet, but my first customer is Nordstrom's department store out in Seattle, and I'm very proud to say that folks are sniffing around the samples, and if I can do it right, I think I've got a great product, and I'm proud to be able to sell it. So.
3 years ago, we were very much smaller than we are now in terms of what we do. Very small mom and pop place, at least a few farms beyond our home farm. I think we had 3 seasonal employees, is that right? 3 years ago, maybe 4. We had just a few seasonal employees. And this season, through the grants that we've gotten, through the initiatives that we've put together, we'll have 18 employees for this particular growing season. And I think that's going to get a little bit bigger even as we go forward. The first year we ran it, we did 4,000 birds through that system. This year we'll do over 20,000. And so that started the ball rolling. Of course, 6 months after we installed the poultry processing plant, the barn that used to exist here, the old Andrews Farm barn, 16,000 square feet, burned to the ground. And Beth and I thought seriously about packing them in at that point. And so we looked at all our options. We got a lot of technical assistance. Travis sitting here from the Intervale was part of that. Lots of other folks came in and helped us figure things out. And we decided to go all in instead of quitting.
It just gives me chills to think that, we're standing here because of everyone else helping each other out, monetarily or just digging in the dirt, or a shoulder to cry on. But we really have gone through the ringer with, Irene. We had 300 wrapped round bales floating down the Winooski River years ago, so we lost those. Every farmer has their ups and downs, and we've had plenty, so we're looking to be on the upswing now.
The efficiencies and the ability to move forward, hire more folks, and give more services to our fellow farmers will come through this grant. So a couple of aspects of that grant. First of all, we're going to have a third of this space in here will be cooling, freezing, and air chilling capacity. So air chilling is kind of the innovative part of our program, which is we will be the only poultry processing plant in New England to be air chill our poultry rather than water chill it once this is up and running. And what that means is that we're not soaking our birds to chill them down. We're actually going to be air chilling them, and in that sense, they're not absorbing all the water. If you read your label in the grocery store, it says no more than 9% retained water in your poultry product. Well, we're actually going to go the other direction. We're probably going to lose a few percentage points of weight because the birds will dry out a little bit. But there's a huge gain in taste, in tenderness, and also in food safety by doing things through an air chilling process. So we will be doing that as part of our cooling and freezing capacity here. We're also adding in additional processing equipment, which will help us be a lot more efficient. We'll be able to do more chickens, not only for ourselves, but for other farmers. We'll also be able to cut up and make other products like sausage and bone-in chicken products, which take a special saw to do effectively. And then the last piece of this will be helping us to plan for a high-end farm market location right here at this site. We have a partner in that who's also hoping and currently selling retail from this site, and that's Megan Giroux of Vermont Edible Landscapes, who's got her greenhouse over here. She's an innovative agriculturalist, horticulturalist here in the state, does land planning and provides these perennial edibles. And if you want to tour her facility after we're done, you're welcome to do so. She's here to do that with you. So we're hoping not only to be able to sell our own products through this space, but also be an outlet for all other farmers in the area to be able to bring their products to us, and we can sell them through a nicely appointed retail market.
There's a number of partnerships that are worth mentioning because they exemplify what it is we do well in Vermont. And I'm going to cite them. One is the three-way partnership of the public, private, and not-for-profit communities that are represented in this activity today and the activities of the recipients. Another one is the partnership of the three agencies of state government, the Agency of Ag, the Department of Forest, Parks, and Recreation, and the Agency of Commerce and Community Development. And I want to thank my colleagues for their help, and because again, this wouldn't be happening as well without that kind of input. And then the third is to recognize the three-way partnership, if you will, around the communities that we are part of, the economies that we're supporting, and the working landscape that is integral to who we are and the culture we call Vermont. And, you know, I look at Paul Costello and I just want to harken back to the work they did, and where they identified the values that, the value that we share most in common as Vermonters is the value we assign to our working landscape. That doesn't just happen. It didn't just happen. It's a reflection of what we've been doing in Vermont for decades and frankly centuries. And so I think it's important that we leave recognizing this isn't just any other grant program. This isn't just another knockoff. This is actually about who we are as a community, about who we are as a state, and our willingness to step up and invest in that, not only for today, but really for the future. So our next subsequent generations can also drive these same roads and bike these same roads and hike these same mountains and experience the same landscape and the very people